Eating delicious food is one of life's great pleasures, but one ingredient that can cause more harm than good when consumed in large amounts is salt. While salt makes food taste great, it's straightforward to overdo it. The average American eats about 34 milligrams of sodium per day, mostly from processed and restaurant foods. However, health experts recommend limiting sodium to less than 2,300 milligrams per day, and less than 1,500 milligrams if you're over 51 or already have high blood pressure. In this video, we'll explore how overeating salt could increase your risk of developing diabetes. Diabetes is a chronic disease that affects how your body turns food into energy. In diabetes, the body either can't produce enough insulin or becomes resistant to insulin. Insulin is a hormone made by your pancreas that allows cells to use glucose from carbohydrates for energy. With diabetes, too much glucose circulates in the bloodstream instead of being used for energy. Over time, high blood glucose levels can damage nerves, blood vessels, and organs. About 34 million Americans have diabetes, and 1 in 5 don't even know they have it. Diabetes is the 7th leading cause of death in the US, and get this, 88 million American adults have prediabetes, which means their blood glucose levels are high, but not yet high enough to be diagnosed as diabetes. Prediabetes puts you at serious risk for developing type 2 diabetes as well as heart and kidney disease. So, what does salt have to do with diabetes? Several large-scale studies have found a link between high salt intake and increased risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Let's summarize the research so far. A meta-analysis published in the journal Diabetology looked at 13 studies involving over 270,000 participants. It found that people with the highest sodium intake had a 27% greater risk of developing type 2 diabetes compared to those with the lowest information. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed 28 healthy adults for about 9 years. Those who consumed more than 4,000 milligrams of sodium per day were 49% more likely to develop type 2 diabetes compared to those eating less than 2,000 milligrams per day. Researchers from Israel analyzed data from over 14,000 adults. They found a positive association between higher salt consumption and increased fasting plasma glucose levels, which indicates a risk for diabetes. Several other extensive observational studies from around the world also suggest excessive sodium intake is linked to higher rates of type 2 diabetes. So what's going on here? How could salty foods lead to blood sugar problems and diabetes? Research points to a few possible mechanisms. First, a high salt diet can cause increased thirst and fluid intake. It may result in higher blood volume and pressure on blood vessel walls. Over time, this strains the blood vessels that supply nutrients to the pancreas, compromising its ability to produce insulin efficiently. Second, sodium can negatively impact insulin sensitivity, or the effectiveness of insulin to move glucose from the bloodstream into the cells to be used for energy. Studies show insulin sensitivity decreases after high salt meals. Third, excess salt intake is linked to weight gain and obesity, major risk factors for insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. One reason may be that salty foods increase thirst and appetite, leading to overeating. Salt also makes foods more palatable, which promotes higher calorie intake. Finally, diets high in sodium and low in potassium appear to deplete magnesium stores in the body. Magnesium deficiency can hinder insulin's ability to regulate blood glucose levels. Low magnesium levels are strongly associated with insulin resistance. Reducing sodium intake may help decrease the risk of diabetes. Here are some tips. Limit processed foods like bread, pizza, soup, cold cuts, and frozen meals. These make up over 75% of sodium in the average American diet. Choose fresh, whole foods like fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, and legumes. Read labels and opt for low-sodium alternatives. Look for foods with less than 300 milligrams sodium per serving. Use little to no salt when cooking. Add herbs, spices, acid, and heat for flavor instead. Avoid adding salt to the table. Use pepper, lemon, vinegar, or hot sauce for seasoning. Rinse canned foods before use to remove some sodium. Choose fresh or frozen produce since canned veggies have added salt. Making small shifts to cut sodium intake by 500 to 1,000 milligrams per day can make a big difference in your long-term health. Just remember, salt should enhance flavor, not overwhelm it. Moderating salt allows the flavors of whole foods to shine. Limiting excessive salt intake is one strategy to lower the risk for chronic diseases like diabetes, along with following an overall balanced, nutrient-rich diet and active lifestyle. Minor changes to your eating habits can go a long way toward improving health. Focus on the bounty of delicious, Whole foods nature provides, including leafy greens, vibrant vegetables, aromatic spices, juicy fruits, and ancient grains. With mindful, home-based cooking, you can create excellent meals with little or no added salt that will nourish your body and delight your taste buds.
Remember to subscribe and don't forget to hit the bell icon to never miss an update from Health Guide Zone.